Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to do something slightly different instead of talking about fitness as a whole, but just kind of how it can be used based on the topic today. So I decided I'm going to listen to Psycho-Cybernetics as an audiobook. Call me lazy, but it's not that I can't read, it's just long and tedious for me, so I'm listening to it on a YouTube channel now. I've gotten through the first few chapters and just wanted to relay some thoughts, not necessarily critique the book or give an in-depth review of it, but just try to think through some of the early book concepts and how it either affected my life or the things I'm saying and my wife are saying that are affecting our kids, and what needs to be done. Begin training our children to feel like they'll be successful no matter what happens. Right now, it's a hard balance between understanding that we may have mental and physical limitations, but that there are things that we can do with our self-image and our respect levels that we can do to overcome many other kinds of obstacles. And that's the biggest thing I wanted to take away from the early parts of the book, just making sure that with visualization, daydreaming, self-talk, all of it is used to create a better self-image and use that new self-image to generate the outcomes you want in life, whether it's a job, money, and for certain people, physical attributes, especially those in the athletic departments, pro athletes, or even high-level college athletes, anyone else looking to improve themselves in that category as well, which is kind of where I wanted to bring this to full circle moment, right? So for myself, even as a kid, I more or less had a pretty positive self-image, even when I got glasses. That was kind of the first time it took a hit, though, because I used to be chased around by all the little girlies in third grade and earlier up until I got my glasses, and then suddenly I became the typical nerd or geek in physical appearance just because I had the glasses. Now, when it came to the soccer field, especially at recess or when I played in my local leagues, I was the dominant player. When I played hockey, I was average to slightly above average. And then playing baseball, I also thoroughly enjoyed that. And when I was playing in each one of those particular seasons, when I was playing soccer, I was going to be like Landon Donovan. When I was a hockey player, I was going to be Wayne Gretzky. When I was a baseball player, I was going to be Sammy Sosa. So I always had a positive self-image when it came to athletics. And even in elementary school, I got straight A's up until the point where I got to middle school. And that's kind of when my effort levels started tanking, and so did my grades. But even through all that, I just focused on my physical self-image and how I was always, good at sports. Definitely not at the elite level like most pro athletes are as children or teenagers. Anyway, I'm going to start using these techniques in order to affect more of the change that I want in my life now. Because as I've said before, I decided I wanted to get fat basically by eating with my wife during her first pregnancy and just gaining weight, and then never really rectifying it permanently until this moment here. So with my 30 for 30 challenge, I did my upper body, and I'm decided to do my lower body 30 for 30 challenge, but I'm still doing my upper body as well. So now I'm just adding more weight, more exercises, and just being active for a longer period of time in an effort to start getting adaptations developed for my muscles to eventually go heavy back in a traditional gym. Because if you've seen any of my videos, whether they were my shorts or my full workouts, you'll see that I'm currently using an apartment gym with limited equipment, so I'm making the best of it that I can during these first 60 total days. Now back to Psycho-Cybernetics and how that's going to go forward with my fitness. I see myself not necessarily returning back to six-pack abs like when I was 175, 180 pounds, but I definitely want to get down to that 200 level and go through a body recomposition at that point. Try to build some more muscle back before I get too old, and just kind of ride out the rest of my existence, lifting in some manner and staying active and maintaining a kind of solid physique, but not one where I have to be yoked, right? Like a bodybuilder or even most pro athletes, but just that I look good and that I feel good and that this excess weight is taken off of my body, and that it helps with multiple body parts being sore right now. And thinking about that too, just remembering that people who have a positive mindset when they have injuries or illnesses tend to recover quicker from their injuries or their illnesses. I'm going to really see about focusing on making my back and my shoulder a primary focus of mental energy to work on making those body parts begin the healing process as much as the body does allow, because I do have a herniated disc and my shoulder does have a good bit of arthritis in it due to my previous lifestyle. But like I said before, the whole point of it is going to be focusing on what my lower back and my shoulder will look like if they're 100% healthy and nice and strong, and returning to lifting heavy and stressing those joints with the thought and the belief that those joints are strong and can handle heavy loads. I'm going to use these kinds of thoughts in terms of how I talk to my children, especially the older two, because, you know, as a first and second time parent being younger, I was still learning how to do everything even after having the first one, because they were born 2 years apart. So some of the things I said or did weren't always the nicest. So now I'm really going to be conscientious of how I speak to them and what I say to them. I'm really going to focus on trying to change their mindset, if they even have a bad mindset right now. And if they do, trying to make it more positive. If they're more neutral, still trying to make it more positive, but just for the sake of avoiding any negative self-image. Because I just noticed that there are so many things that we say nonchalantly to them that can definitely be perceived as negative, right? So my oldest son, he's not the best reader, not the best writer or the best speller right now, but he excels at math. So we always, unfortunately, tell him, you're great at math. You got this. Math is easy for you, right? But we don't say the same thing about his ability to read, write, and spell. Now we've gotten more focused on doing that part for him. So with his reading assistance at school, he's almost back up to grade level. And so I've been saying more frequently at this point, see, now you understand reading. It's a whole lot easier, right? You can do it. And so I just need to keep reiterating that point to him, that yes, he knows how to read. He understands what he's reading. And so once he believes it, he can do it and he'll excel at it. And then that'll help him perform in school more. And the other part with him is he has ADHD. Now, I used to think maybe it's because he's just an active boy, but when it comes down to it, he has a high level of issues with focus, especially when it's on subjects he's not interested in. So the thing we're doing is we're keeping him active so that he can burn off some of that, negative energy at least. And then maybe one day when he's older, he won't need medication or anything else. But for now, I need to try to keep him highly physically active. And he's in Taekwondo right now. and I've always been thinking of getting him back into jiu-jitsu, and if I can't do that, probably wrestling instead. There is a local youth wrestling club that he attempted one season, but we haven't been back since. But he does enjoy being physically active like that because he enjoyed his brief time at jiu-jitsu as well, and just help him do that. For our second oldest, he's basically the opposite, right? So he loves reading and writing. He'll be artistic and draw stuff, and he's really good with music. So he takes piano lessons, and he can play certain parts of songs that he just learned by sounding it out. So the old song Meant to Live by Switchfoot, he actually figured out the notes to play on a piano for basically the chorus section on the guitar. So he transitioned those notes to the piano and can play, you know, the 15-20 seconds of that song just from working memory, right? And so I'm kind of seeing that he already has these kinds of self-images and visualization practices that are already in Psycho-Cybernetics, but he's just certainly not going to know how to express it, but I can just see it. While simultaneously, he's got all that. He's not really great at math yet, but there is one thing that he took to heart, and that was before he started third grade. His brother was talking mad dookie to him and said he sucks at math and he can't do any of it. So Zachary studied the multiplication tables up to 20 by 20 and memorized every part of the multiplication table, and basically did what he could to prove his oldest brother wrong. And like I said, I think he's got some of those features from the book already ingrained in him, more so than the oldest child. But obviously he wouldn't know how to explain it. But I just see it after listening to the first few chapters that he's got a more innate ability to do these things than my oldest one does. But I think the next part is just going to be me making sure that I reinforce the positive talk for both of them in the areas of their brief lives that they feel they struggle with. So once again, my oldest, that would be reading, writing, and being artistic. I don't know if he has much interest in being artistic anyway, but just definitely the reading, writing part. And then for the second oldest, I think it might be something more physical, right? So he has a high self-image for his ability to do learning tasks, but when it comes to physical tasks, he'll always say something like, I'm too slow, or I'm not good enough. Like, buddy, you haven't tried it. So at least for him, even if he doesn't like doing sports, I want to get him into something active. So we have all three of my boys signed up for track this summer, and he's going to run track, he's going to do sprints, he's going to do long distance, and we're going to see which events he likes to do. And then that way, once he gets to middle school, if he wants to do long distance, he can do cross country in the fall, and then track and field long distance events in the spring. And if he likes sprinting, then we can work on developing more of his leg and hip musculature so that he can begin to train to sprint faster, right? So that he can try other sports like football, and then track and field with short distance events for sprinting. And then with that, the other plan is to instill these attributes into our younger two children much earlier on, and avoid the negative self-talk for him whenever we hear it, trying to nip it in the bud quickly. And then if he or she, for my daughter, if they have a high self-image, then we want to make sure we continue to reinforce that. We want them to be able to accomplish basically any task that they feel that they can achieve, and giving them the proper self-image, self-respect, self-esteem development that we can. And I apologize for going all over the place. I think this will be the last part. And then just once again for myself, I know I mentioned this about my physical health more first, but I'm also going to work on how I can use this to transition between careers and trying to develop multiple streams of income to improve our situation. Now, we aren't struggling, but we're also not succeeding either right now. So the plan is going to be visualizing what I can do, whether it's YouTube, career change, college major change, any of those kinds of items, to see what would be most beneficial, the most immediate versus the longest developing, but which one might also end up being the best in the long run. So I have a lot to think about, including hearing what the rest of the book has to offer later on. And with that, I appreciate you taking the time to listen. Stay tuned for more of these talks, not only just life in general and I guess books now, but my physical fitness journey from fat to fit and the journey down to 200. Thank you, and God bless.